Welcome back, everyone, to another story. This is our first story to feature images for each character in the story. Photos will change based on who's talking. Enjoy the story. When I woke up that morning, I groaned. I was still in hospital and still in pain. I had been involved in a pretty bad car accident the previous week. It had caused me to get brought to hospital in a critical condition. Fortunately, since then, my condition had improved significantly, and I was told I would likely make a recovery. It was going to be a really long process, though. I wasn't looking forward to it whatsoever. During the car accident, I had broken quite a few of my bones, fractured part of my rib cage, and had suffered minor brain damage. It was a miracle I had survived, especially considering I was in my mid-50s. I was still in a lot of pain. I had received some painkillers the previous night, but they had clearly worn off by now. I called over one of the nurses and requested some more to quench my pain. A few minutes later, the nurse brought me some to have. After I took them, I laid back down in my bed and tried to forget about all that had happened to me. After a few hours of boredom, I heard a knock on my room door. I curiously looked up to see who it was. In walked a middle-aged-looking doctor who I didn't recognize. "Good morning, Jamie. My name is Richard. It's good to meet you," he said to me. "Oh, hi, it's good to meet you," I said back casually. "I'm here to ask you if you would like to participate in a special medical procedure that would be separate from the treatment for your injuries," he said back. I didn't really understand what he was asking, so I questioned him, hoping to work out what he was asking me about. "What is the procedure? If it's separate from my injury treatment, why do I need to do it?" I asked back. After a few seconds, the doctor began speaking again. "You don't need to participate. We're just looking for volunteers who would be open to a medical procedure. It has nothing to do with your treatment," he responded back. By this point, I was pretty confused. I couldn't work out why they would be asking me to participate. I already had enough to deal with. I was about to decline the doctor's offer for the procedure, but he started speaking again. "We do offer financial incentives for our medical procedures. If you choose to participate, you will receive $7,500, he said. I was admittedly now more open to the medical procedure, so I decided to ask the doctor a few more questions to see what I would actually have to do. Will the procedure affect my treatment for my injuries? What will I actually have to do? I asked curiously. After a few moments, the doctor began speaking again. The procedure won't interfere with your recovery process at all. It'll be completely separate. And for your other question, I can't disclose exactly what the procedure will do. Only that it won't affect you and is completely temporary, he said back to me. I now had a lot to think about, mainly over if it was a good idea participating in a medical procedure when the doctor wouldn't even tell me what it was. It was a bit nerve-wracking. But then again, I was being offered $7,500 for something that would only temporarily affect me. It's not like I had a lot of things to do. It didn't seem like a bad idea to accept the offer. After some more thinking to myself, I decided I would participate in the medical procedure. After I told the doctor, he seemed happy. "Awesome. Would you be comfortable doing it today?" he asked me back. I thought about it for a second, and then decided I would be. I obviously didn't have anything else to do. "Sure, I haven't got anything better to do," I responded back. The doctor acknowledged my response before telling me he had some things to prepare for the procedure. He told me he would be back soon before leaving my room. I spent the next couple of hours waiting patiently for the doctor to return. I was still really curious what was going to end up happening to me. Eventually, after a wait of more than 3 hours, he returned, this time with one other doctor. "Hello again, Jamie. Sorry for the wait. We're all ready to begin the procedure," he said to me. "Oh, that's good, I guess. Let's get this over and done with." I said back. Over the next 10 minutes, the doctor started preparing everything. I was briefed on what I would experience, but was still refused any information on what would actually happen to me. After signing some papers, agreeing I was ready for the procedure, the doctor handed me a strange-looking mask, telling me to put it on. The mask covered my entire head and a small part of my face. It was pretty intimidating. Once I had the mask on, the doctor told me to sit still and wait for him to finish counting down. As he began counting down, my nervousness spiked. I wasn't sure what to expect. Just before the countdown reached 1, I closed my eyes and braced for whatever was coming. However, I felt nothing happen. I naturally assumed that whatever the doctor wanted to happen hadn't happened. However, when I reopened my eyes, I immediately noticed that I was no longer in the same room as before. I also noticed that the doctor that was standing beside me when I had closed my eyes was no longer there. He had instead been replaced by another doctor I didn't recognize. I was extremely confused and slightly panicked by it all. So I quickly decided to speak up. What just happened? Why did the room change? I said, also noticing that my voice had changed significantly. What happened to me? I said loudly, as I looked down at my body. I was shocked when I saw my body. My middle-aged male body had been replaced with the body of an attractive girl's. I quickly turned back to the doctor standing next to my bed, who finally began speaking to me. Hi, Jamie. I'm Linda. How are you feeling? The new doctor asked me as she began walking over to me. I stuttered for a few seconds before responding. I'm fine, I guess. I just wasn't expecting to become a woman. What did you guys do to me? I asked, still getting used to my new female voice, while I was speaking. The doctor began removing a mask from my head. It was exactly like the one I had been wearing as a guy. After a few seconds, the doctor began explaining the medical procedure to me. Apparently, they were testing a new technology that had been developed to transfer people's consciousnesses between bodies using masks. I tried my best to understand what I was being told, but I didn't really understand how the technology worked. I was more curious as to what would be happening now that I was a girl. Fortunately, the doctor started to tell me what would be happening. Apparently, I was to spend 24 hours in the girl's body before getting switched back to my own body. During that time, they would run a few tests to ensure the swap went well with no complications. After I had been told what would be happening to me, the doctor also told me some more information about the girl whose body I was currently in. Apparently, she was only 22 years old and was named Amelia. She was in hospital because she was recovering from plastic surgery. The doctor told me that she had decided to participate in the medical procedure for similar reasons I had joined. She had wanted to earn a little money while recovering from her surgery. Apparently, the real Amelia was currently in my body. I could only imagine how that must have felt for her. I honestly didn't mind the body I had been swapped into. It felt really nice being so young again. While the doctor was still in my room, I asked her a few more questions about the girl I now was. I was most curious as to what plastic surgery the girl I was had gotten. When I asked the doctor, I got my answer. She just pointed at my chest area and grinned before leaving my room. I looked down at my chest and finally realized how big they were. There was no way a girl this petite could get them naturally. I hadn't noticed them before, as I had still been trying to work out what was happening. I spent the next couple of hours in the bed getting used to the body I was in. I had a really good time. I was enjoying myself so much that I started thinking about what it would be like to live as a girl permanently. I couldn't help but think it would be better than my current life as a guy. The more I thought about it, the more I wanted to do it. Life as a girl seemed so much better to me. When I was a guy, I was working constantly and getting old. Life really wasn't that great, especially since the car crash. Living as an attractive young girl would be so much more fun. I would finally have an enjoyable life again. I knew I had to do it. I spent the next while thinking about how I could pull it off. Eventually, I came up with a plan I was sure would work. Once it became nighttime, I would pack up all of the girls' things and leave the hospital. I would then get a taxi to my home, where I would work out what to do next. Once I had come up with my plan, I decided it would be smart to start preparing for it. I spent the next half an hour looking through all of the bags I had with me in my room. I wasn't supposed to be standing up this soon after Amelia's surgery, but I figured it would be all right. I was told it had been almost a week since the surgery. While looking through the bags, I found clothes, Amelia's ID, and even her phone. Using it all, I was able to learn more about Amelia, the new me. The rest of the day was fairly uninteresting. I spent most of it watching TV while thinking about my plan and getting to know my new body. I also had a few visits from the doctors from before to run some tests on me. I was told that everything was running smoothly and that there were no issues so far. When nighttime eventually came, I began putting my plan into action. I first undressed out of the hospital gown I was in, so I could change into some proper clothes. Afterwards, I was able to put Amelia's clothes on fairly easily. The only issue I had was with the size of the sports bra I had to put on. It was clearly far too small for me. Amelia must have forgotten to buy a bigger one before the surgery. I was eventually able to squeeze into the sports bra, but it wasn't very comfortable. It was really tight over my chest, causing some pain. Despite the issues, I was able to continue with my plan. Once I was fully clothed, I grabbed all of Amelia's bags and left my room. After leaving, I quickly made my way towards the exit, trying not to make eye contact with any of the hospital staff. Fortunately, nobody stopped me from leaving. I was eventually able to leave the hospital and call a taxi. When the taxi arrived, I asked the driver to go to my house. During the ride home, I thought about what my future life would be like. I couldn't wait to properly start living as a girl. After arriving home, I found my hidden key and entered my home, where I was finally able to relax. I quickly went to my bedroom, where I was able to properly see my new body for the first time using my mirror. I couldn't believe how attractive I now was. I was easily one of the most attractive girls I had ever seen. I couldn't help but wonder how much of it was due to plastic surgery. I had a feeling my chest wasn't the only part of my body that had been worked on. Nevertheless, I was still extremely pleased with my new body. I spent the next few hours exploring it all before eventually going to sleep. After waking up the next morning, I decided I should start planning my future. There was a lot I was going to have to do. I first wanted to move away from where I currently lived. I thought it would be a good idea to get away from where the medical procedure took place. I decided that I would move to Los Angeles. It would be the perfect place to start my new life. I spent the rest of the day meticulously planning everything. I transferred all of my savings to a new account in my new name, found a new place to live, and bought a bunch of new girly things for myself. I was already loving life as a girl. It was so much more fun than my old boring life. I spent the next week preparing everything I could possibly think of. I had decided I would move to Los Angeles at the end of that week. When it was finally time to move away, I found myself at the airport boarding a flight across the country. After landing in my new hometown, I caught a taxi to my new home, which I had already bought. It was perfect. I had been able to buy a nice home using my savings from my previous life. My new life was so unbelievably perfect. It was hard to believe that the previous week I had been a badly injured guy sitting in a hospital bed. In just 1 week, I had gone from that to a beautiful girl living in a nice Los Angeles home. The change was incredible. Over the next couple of years, my life somehow got even better. A few months after everything had happened, I found out that my new body had an incredible singing voice, one of the best I had ever heard. It caused me to start writing and performing my own songs, something else I discovered I was really good at. My music career quickly grew after I started performing my music live. Eventually, I got the opportunity to open for another much larger musician, which is where my career really took off. My songs blew up, and I started doing really well. Ever since, my life has been incredible. I'm attractive, wealthy, and now famous. I feel like I've done it all. Sometimes I think about my previous life as a guy and how miserable I was. It's crazy how much my life had changed. I really only had that doctor to thank. He was the one that did this for me. He was the one that changed my life forever. Thanks for watching this video. More videos will be coming very soon. We would really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel to support us. Thanks for watching.